Dog raises an orphaned baby chimp. Years later, she gets repaid in a loving way. In the heart of the USA, in a quiet town nestled among rolling hills, a Great Dane named Bella lived a happy and contented life with her owners. She was loved and cherished, but one day, her life took a dramatic turn when she stumbled upon an orphaned baby chimp in the woods. Without hesitation, Bella took the little chimp under her wing, raising him as if he were her own. She protected him from harm, nurtured him with love, and taught him the ways of the world. The unlikely duo quickly became inseparable, forging a bond that would last a lifetime. Years passed, and Bella's owners marveled at the incredible relationship between their beloved dog and the young chimp. But little did they know that their furry companions had a surprise in store for them, a surprise that would forever change their lives and the way they viewed the world. This is the heartwarming story of Bella and her baby chimp, a tale of love, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between two unlikely friends. Follow their journey as they navigate the challenges of life, the ups and downs of their unique relationship, and the joy of discovering that sometimes the greatest love comes from the most unexpected places. Bella was the runt of the litter, left behind when all of her brothers and sisters were taken to loving homes. She felt alone and unwanted, a feeling that was only compounded by the cruel behavior of the dog breeder who kept her locked up in a small cage all day. One day, driven to desperation by her miserable existence, Bella managed to escape from her cramped quarters. She bolted out of the breeder's house and into the great outdoors, free for the first time in her life. At first, Bella was elated to be out in the world, running through fields and exploring the woods. But as the days wore on and she began to realize the harsh reality of life as a stray dog, her spirits began to sag. She was hungry, thirsty, and alone, with no one to turn to for comfort or companionship. But fate had other plans for Bella. One day, as she was wandering through a residential neighborhood, she stumbled upon a kind-hearted man who's called Tom, who took pity on her and brought her back to his home. Bella was hesitant at first, wary of yet another human who might hurt her or abandon her. But as she settled into her new surroundings, she began to realize that this man was different. He fed her, played with her, and gave her a warm place to sleep at night. For the first time in her life, Bella felt loved and cared for. Tom was a kind-hearted man with a wife and 3 children. He had always loved animals, and as a child, he had dreamed of having a big, fluffy dog to call his own. But as he grew up and started a family of his own, those dreams had been pushed to the back of his mind. Tom's wife, Emily, was not an animal person. She had grown up in a household where pets were seen as a hassle and a nuisance, and she had no desire to introduce that chaos into her own home. But despite her reservations, she loved her husband and was willing to indulge his fantasies of one day owning a dog. So when Tom brought Bella home, Emily was less than thrilled. She grumbled and complained, muttering about the hair and the mess and the extra work. But as she watched her husband and children fall in love with the scrappy little dog, she found herself softening towards her new furry housemate. Over time, Bella became an integral part of the family. She slept at the foot of Tom's bed, went on walks with his children, and even snuggled up with Emily on the couch. She was a constant source of joy and amusement, and Tom could not imagine his life without her. Looking back on that fateful day when he found Bella wandering alone and scared, Tom couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. It was as if the universe had conspired to bring them together, and he was grateful for every moment they had shared since then. Emily had grown to love Bella as much as anyone, and she could not deny the bond that had formed between her family and the dog. Sometimes, as she watched Bella curled up on the couch, snoring contentedly, Emily would shake her head and smile to herself. She never thought she would be a dog person, but fate had a funny way of working things out. A few weeks later on, Tom had the worst day of his life. His beloved brother died in a car crash. Tom's heart sank as he received the call about his brother's tragic accident. He couldn't believe it had happened. He felt numb as he drove back home to deliver the news to his family. As he walked through the door, he could see the worry etched on his wife's face. Without a word, he pulled her into his arms and whispered the terrible news. His children, who were playing in the living room, stopped and turned to him with tears in their eyes. Tom felt like his world had stopped spinning. As the days passed, Tom and his family struggled to come to terms with the loss. His brother had been a talented circus performer and a loving uncle to his children. Tom couldn't bear to think of the pain his brother's pet Chimp must have felt after the accident. He decided to visit the circus where his brother had worked and inquire about the baby Chimp. After a long and emotional conversation with the circus manager, Tom discovered that the Chimp had escaped after the accident and had been missing ever since. Tom felt a deep sense of sadness, knowing that the Chimp was out there somewhere, alone and vulnerable. He couldn't help but think of his own dog, Bella, and how she had also been left alone and vulnerable before he found her. He made a silent promise to himself that if he ever came across the Chimp, he would do everything in his power to help it. The baby Chimp had been a constant companion to Tom's brother. He had been raised by humans and had never learned to survive in the wild. When the car crash had occurred, the Chimp had been in the car with his owner. The impact of the accident had thrown him from the vehicle, and he had run off into the nearby woods, terrified and alone. Tom knew that he needed to find the Chimp. He couldn't stand the thought of the poor creature out there in the world by himself. He had heard stories of people finding exotic animals as pets only to release them into the wild when they grew too big or too difficult to care for. He couldn't let that happen to this Chimp. For weeks, Tom searched the woods for any sign of the little Chimp. He set traps and bait, hoping to lure the animal back to him. He even brought Bella along a few times, hoping that the dog's keen sense of smell might lead them to the Chimp's hiding place. Finally, after days of searching, Tom caught sight of movement in the bushes. He crept closer, his heart racing with excitement and fear, and there, crouched under a tree, was the baby Chimp. Tom approached slowly, speaking softly to the animal. The Chimp eyed him warily, clearly afraid of this strange human who had found him, but Tom persisted, offering him food and water and speaking soothingly to him. Eventually, the Chimp seemed to accept Tom's presence. He tentatively reached out a hand, his little fingers wrapping around Tom's thumb. Tom felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes. He had saved the Chimp, just as he had saved Bella. At that point, he didn't know how Bella would repay him. When Tom brought the baby Chimp home, he wasn't sure how Bella would react, but as soon as she saw the tiny creature, she immediately took on the role of protector and caregiver. Bella watched over the Chimp as if it were her own puppy, keeping it warm and safe in her embrace. At first, Tom's wife was hesitant about the idea of bringing a wild animal into their home, but as she watched Bella care for the Chimp with such tenderness and love, her heart melted. She couldn't help but feel moved by the unlikely bond that was forming between the two animals. Bella spent her days playing with the Chimp, sharing her toys and showing it how to climb and explore. She even let the Chimp drink from her water bowl, carefully holding it in her mouth while the Chimp drank. As the weeks went by, Tom and his family watched in amazement as the Chimp grew stronger and healthier under Bella's watchful eye. They were grateful for the love and care that Bella was providing to the orphaned animal, and they knew that she was doing something truly special. As the years went by, Bella and the Chimp grew up together, forming a bond that was stronger than anyone could have ever imagined. Tom's family watched in awe as the two animals played, cuddled, and explored the world around them. But as time went on, Tom began to realize something remarkable about the situation. In taking care of the Chimp, Bella was actually doing him a favor. She was paying him back for rescuing her and giving her a new home, by taking on the responsibility of raising the Chimp as her own. For Tom, this realization was a profound one. He felt a deep sense of gratitude to Bella, not just for caring for the Chimp, but for reminding him of the importance of kindness, compassion, and selflessness. As he watched Bella and the Chimp playing in the yard one sunny afternoon, Tom felt a sense of peace and contentment wash over him. He knew that he was doing something special, something that his brother would have been proud of. In taking care of Bella and the Chimp, Tom was honoring his brother's memory in the most meaningful way possible. He was continuing the legacy of love and compassion that his brother had embodied, and he was making the world a better place, one small act of kindness at a time. And as Bella and the Chimp continued to play and explore, Tom knew that he would never forget this moment. He would always cherish the memory of these two unlikely friends, brought together by fate and united by love.